All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode 55 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast, 20 minutes with some of the world's top fitness professionals. I'm your host, Anthony Renda. You can check out the show notes at continuefit.com. It's where I keep all my podcasts and Strength Coach TV, Strength Coach Podcast. Make sure you go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, leave us a review and a rating. It's super important. All right, for today's episode, I have on Dana Santos, and she is the mobility maker, not to be confused with the widow maker. She is a mind-body coach in pro sports. She is the author of the Practical Solutions for Back Pain Relief. She's an international speaker and presenter on ways to help people breathe, move, and feel better in their bodies and happier and healthier in their lives. She's specialized in training athletes in all the different sports, including the WWE, which is kind of cool. She's currently the mobility coach for the Orlando Magic, Tampa Bay Rays, Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Braves, Toronto Blue Jays, a lot of A's in there, Houston, Texas, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the WWE. Dana, thanks so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited about it.
All right, well, I already know your story because we did an interview for the Success Series, but I'm interested in, I didn't ask this question in that. I know you have an amazing story, but what is your story? How did you get involved in, what was that spark to your fitness lifestyle?
I wish that I could give you the story where, because I listened to Dan Johns, the Sears and Roebuck, what was it, Ted Williams
Yes.
weight set. I love that. Mine's a little darker, but still, it's like a spark that changed my life. So, as you know, we touched on this a little bit, and what you and I had talked about previously was growing up. I grew up in poverty and abuse, and in situations like that. Especially as a child, you often feel like your whole life is out of control. And especially when there's abuse, it ends up making you feel like your body is out of your control. And sometimes as part of, and again, sorry to go so dark on you, but I'll get us out of it really quick. But sometimes in those situations, it's safer for you to just disassociate with your body as a coping mechanism, a survival mechanism. And so I had done that for so long. And although as a young child, I had done gymnastics and I'd really enjoyed it, I had gotten away from that. I had become a teenage mother. I moved out of my home, and I use that term loosely, when I was 14. And so I'd really been on my own. It was kind of a rough start. And again, I carried that sense of disassociation with my body with me, and which was very unfortunate. And because especially now in the career that I'm in, I know the importance of your mind-body connection and moving with intention, especially working with professional athletes. So I had a completely different career. I was on this fast track to be as rich and successful as I possibly could be, so that I could be the antithesis of what I grew up in. But it wasn't a goal because it was a heartfelt goal. And this is what, I was going to enjoy doing in life. It was just because I had to prove to myself that I could be the opposite of that. And so I did. And I was very successful as director of marketing and PR for an international corporate real estate firm. I had a big house and a big car and all of those things. And in that, I got to travel a lot, and I went to lots of different spas. And during one of those spa trips, I ended up in a yoga class. And it was the first time in however many decades that someone had instructed me to just lay there and breathe and connect with my breathing and my body. And it was at once terrifying and gratifying. And all of a sudden, it just opened up something in me that, was dormant for so long, but was actually so authentic. And it felt pretty freaking amazing. and that grew, and I started to go down this rabbit hole of yoga, and which can be very esoteric, and I am very much into science and research, and so I started to do a little bit more studying of biomechanics and that kind of thing, and everything evolved. But that spark was on that mat let me tell you, that yoga instructor like had a man bun and a Speedo, and was really strange, and probably not a class I'd walk into again, but that's where it started. And since then, I mean, I've become a strength coach. I've studied PRI and Gray Cook's all his FMS, and I worship Dan John. So it's not like I'm this yoga disciple, but it evolved out of that moment. And so that was truly a spark. And then it became that I was moving my body with intention, and I started to move my life with intention into something that I really loved, and then sharing that with other people. And I had a passion for sports. And so that's how it's all came to be. It started with me, and then I wanted to share what I'd learned with other people, and then do it at a high performance level. And that's it. Boom.
Yeah. It's very cool. A lot of times you said the rabbit hole, this rabbit hole of yoga, but unfortunately for so many people, they whether it's strength and conditioning or running, it doesn't matter. They go down and they stay down there. Whereas, it's the education, it's those books, it's those classes, those workshops, that continuing education that really kind of opens you up to other things. And it's so important that we kind of keep relaying that message to fitness professionals out there, because, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But sometimes when we just kind of stay down this one path, you're not really open to the other things. And then now you're able to combine all of the best of all of those things and put them together in your program. So very cool. Love it.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. That's it. Because I'm not saying that, yoga is a bad thing. I think though it can become dangerous when certain, fitness professionals who are down only one rabbit hole, right? And they become so defensive about that, and they're not open to anything else. And I think that can also be dangerous if those are the people who are then training professional athletes, and they're saying yoga is the only thing you should do. Don't ever touch a weight again, and things like that. So
yeah,
yes,
and
I
look,
absolutely agree.
It could be powerlifting, it could be kettlebells, it could be long distance running, it could be anything. So
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, let's go. This is obviously this question that I ask everybody about. Who is your superhero growing up? Obviously, you just told us you had a kind of a not the greatest childhood. It doesn't have to be. Was there somebody though that you were kind of looking up to say, I want to be like them?
So there wasn't one person per se. So like when I looked at that question initially, I was like, well, it was everyone and no one, because it was every person who actually took the time and saw something in me that was worth their time. So whether it was a teacher in school, and there were quite a few, without them, I would have given up. And yeah, there were plenty of people who actually took the time. And I say that to people all the time. You have no idea how much 30 seconds of showing genuine interest, especially in a child, what that might do that could change their entire life. And so there were many interactions and moments with so many different people, because I was always looking for that. I was craving that, right? So there wasn't just this one I didn't have access to just one person to be able to say, this was my mentor, or this was the person who helped me. So in a lot of respects, I had to be my own superhero, but I was constantly looking for those signs from other people that there was good in the world and people who cared.
Yeah. Interesting. What about now, again, because, you've found this new world years ago, obviously, but you found this whole world, and you've, really explored so many different avenues. Who out there is just like your superhero now that you think, yeah, they're doing some great stuff, and I love what they're doing?
There are too many to list, and I've been so lucky to even formed friendships with some of these people. But I love Molly from Girls Gone Strong. I think what she's doing for our industry is just fantastic in terms of women's body image and how women perceive fitness. And I think she's amazing, incredible. But again, and I don't want to feel or sound like a narcissist, but I'm my freaking superhero. Like I can look back and be like, hey, I survived that. And now I can empower other people to change their own lives. And I'm pretty proud of that. So
yeah, and you should be. Very cool. Who are you trying to be a superhero to, though? You are the superhero. So, I mean, who are you really trying to help? You have your athletes. You're trying to send this message out there. There's people that, you inspire. Who are you trying to help with your message?
Well, first of all, my children. Like, there's no denying that, right? My children, I want to set that example for them. And then, as you said, my clients, of course, I want to be a superhero to them. I want to provide them with tools that are game changers, that are legitimate game changers, and not only in like the game, the literal game that they're playing, but the game of life. Because I've had the opportunity now that since I'm pretty old at this point, I've been doing this for a while. I've had the opportunity to see some of these athletes go through retirement, and it's tough. Like I want to empower them with the tools to continue to have a successful life and not feel like it was all completely wrapped up in the game. And then overall, like by only over the past few years have I started to really share my story. And so I want to use that to empower anyone who's ever felt powerless, like they couldn't get out of a situation they were in, or based on a situation that they lived through, they feel like they can never be something else. A lot of times we identify so much with what's happened to us, but circumstances don't make the person. They can help reveal you. And so that's those people I want to empower. And
I love that. I think, as we evolve in this industry, we understand sometimes the impact that we have is more than, whatever, the 6-pack ab or even the 2-inch increase in vertical jump. But do you feel like we're not doing enough of that in the industry? This hidden, and not hidden, but in the beginning, you don't see it as much. And then you realize the impact that you can make. Do you think that we need more trainers to kind of move in that direction?
Yes. That's a great observation. We do need more trainers to move in that direction, because it's just like the hairdresser or the bartender, or, you have this personal relationship with your clients, and they're trusting you with their bodies. And based on my past experience, I know how powerful that is. When someone, like, I'm grateful when someone is trusting me with their bodies. And unfortunately, there are some coaches and trainers out there who don't take that responsibility as seriously. And so that's a level of trust that then, if you do have some wisdom to impart, or even can provide some support that they need to help them with other, their personal issues, you've already established that trust. I think it's important to be there and be available to do that, because as I said, these athletes aren't going to be athletes forever, and they're going to identify as athletes forever. But in some respects, that's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah. What are some ways that you feel like we can do that, though? How do we get to that level with some people?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it has to happen organically. You don't want to force it, but you want to be open to when that happens and be there for them. And mostly the listening is really, really important. Them feeling like they're truly being heard. And the level of athlete that I work with now is so used to people either tripping over themselves to please them, or just in some of the coaching staff, they're just part of the plan. And so it's just like, where do they fit into the plan? And a lot of times they'll feel that way as well, like especially with all the trades, and you go from one team to another and you just feel like a chess piece at one point. And so helping them feel human and making them feel heard. And it's more about listening and responding like thoughtfully, as opposed to just telling them what you think they want to hear, which is, as I said, that's another approach that happens with them quite often,
Yeah. My favorite quote has always been, especially for this industry, is nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's the best place to start.
Beautiful.
All right, well, now it's time for the Marigold Bars Stop and Give Me 5 segment. 5 rapid-fire questions and answers brought to you by Marigold Bars. Grass-fed protein, gluten-free, organic ingredients, non-GMO, no preservatives. You actually have to keep them in the fridge, and they taste amazing. No lie, these bars are really good. Had 2 today, actually. Check them out at marigoldbars.com. Dana, are you ready for this?
I am. Those bars sound amazing, though.
They are. If you could have lunch, if you could have a Marigold bar with anyone from the past, who would it be and what would you ask them?
So my grandparents, my grandparents, I didn't really get to know them, but because they were very old, but they seemed like really wonderful people. And, as children, we're all about ourselves. I'd love to, as an adult, be able to sit down with them and ask them all kinds of questions about, their lives and know more about them.
It's such a great point. We know them as children, and then, you get older and you're like, damn, I wish I got to speak to them a little bit more as an adult. Cool.
Yeah.
I know you don't love this because you're not very, you don't have any rhythm. That's according to you. That's direct quote, everybody.
Yes.
If you could be in a band, you're playing, I'm giving you the talent. What band would it be?
Okay, if I had the skills to keep up, it'd have to be AC/DC. And anyone who follows me on social media, like I'm breaking all the rules on Instagram because AC/DC radio is always on in the background. But definitely, yeah, me and Angus.
Start paying some royalty fees, I guess.
Yeah, shh. Okay, stop.
There we go.
I didn't say it.
Yeah. Book, workshop, or seminar that was instrumental in changing your life.
Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. And I own several, and I think we talked about this before, but I own tons of copies because I'll buy copies every so often, a bunch of them on Amazon, so I have them to give to friends. So whenever anyone bitches or whines about their lives, it's a quick read. It's a hard read, but it definitely helps with perspective. And for me personally, it was easy to wallow, and fall into that poor me. And it was really through Man's Search for Meaning that I started to understand the importance of making your pain purposeful and having an attitude of gratitude, like just being grateful for the experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't read that book till I was 50. It's amazing. In the book, the one thing, they ask, what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So I'm going to ask you, the mobility maker, what's the one pose, stretch, movement, whatever people can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier and better for their mobility?
Breathe better. No question. Absolutely. Breathe better. That changes everything. Massive game changer.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. If you could be in any movie, what would it be? This is going to tell us a lot about you.
Oh, really? Well, Elf. And I would want to be Will Ferrell. I love just movies as escape. I love movies, but I love movies as escapes. And Elf is just goofy and hilarious. And Elf.
Very cool. Dana, I know you came out with a book this year, Practical Solutions for Back Pain Relief, but are you working on any project that's kind of getting you really excited?
Yes, and it's actually thanks to you, Anthony, because it was because of your referral. I am revamping my website, and it should be done shortly. I cannot wait because it was a long time coming, and I have so many free resources that I am putting up there on that site. Like, I've been listening. Even though I don't answer all the DMs because sometimes there are just too many of them, but I do read them all, and I know what people have been asking me for. And I just want to help people, especially with the breathing better part that we just talked about. I want to help them. So I've got tons of free resources, all my minute mo flows that I've only been putting on Instagram. They're going to be up there on one page. So people can access them, and just it's cool. I'm so excited about that.
Very
so excited.
Cool. Looking forward to that. What is that letter to your younger self? What's that advice? We talked about it already. You went through some tough times in your youth. What's that advice you would give yourself now?
Just be grateful for the experience. Like, I wouldn't fight it so much. I did spend a lot of time being angry, and that was wasted time. I'm sure part of it was a process, but I would just tell myself, this experience that you're going to go through is going to help you kick ass later. So just be grateful for it. Chin up, buttercup. You've got this.
Very cool. Dana, thanks so much for coming on. You really do have an amazing, inspiring story, and I'm so glad that you're working towards with your website to kind of get that story out there more, and you're evolving into being able to help people on a different level. So thanks so much for coming on today.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Again, I'm honored because you had Dan John on, and to be on the same podcast that Dan John was on.
I had Molly on
and
too.
Molly, yes, you had Molly. Yes. So awesome. So thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 55 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast. Thanks again to Dana Santos. Make sure to check out all the links to all her stuff at stop20podcast.com or continuefit.com. Thanks to Marigold Bars, high-quality protein with all the premium ingredients. Check them out at marigoldbars.com. Don't forget, please, please, please subscribe to the show. Leave us a review and rating. It really helps us out. My name is Anthony Renna. Thanks so much for stopping by.